Let's go!
The story so far of Tekken 8 by Brian Cox. I don't know who this is. This can't be that deep because the story so far for Tekken isn't specifically like, oh man, let's go reflect on Tekken 6's story. I'm watching it in 4K.
Every single fight, no matter how big or small.
Oh, this is the big fish guy
behind it.
He's the big fish.
That's why when it comes to Tekken and the King of Iron Fist tournament.
This is exactly what Bandai Namco would do with B&E budget. This is exactly what they would do. Yeah. Yeah.
There's one hell of a story to tell.
Hang on a second. There's a hell of a story to tell. Before this even goes further, I know you guys want to watch that. This is just the way B&E operates, right?
Feed the fire. Let the last cinders burn.
This is just the way they operate, dude. This is just how they work.
In Tekken 8, Jin Kazama will face off against his father, Kazuya Mishima, for the last time. Kazuya is threatening global domination, and since Jin is the only other person who possesses the devil gene as well...
I love it. Dude, this literally sounds like a cameo. It literally sounds like... It literally sounds like a cameo where it's like he's just saying the wackest shit. It's so funny.
He may be the only chance the world has left. But how did we even get to this point? What the hell is a devil gene? And why do these fathers and sons keep throwing each other off cliffs?
I like it that it's a little this is good. That they're you know, they're a little self-aware.
Well, it revolves around these three men.
Harada.
Heihachi Mishima, his son Kazuya Mishima, and his son Jin Kazama.
Harada, Michael Murray, and Yoshinori
When Kazuya
Ono.
was just 5 years old, his father, Heihachi, feared the boy possessed the devil gene, which is passed down through generations to the bearer's children. It allows the host to transform into a winged demon that possesses incredible strength and power. So, Heihachi did what any loving father would do. Threw Kazuya off this cliff to see if he would survive.
Off this cliff. Right here. And it should show like a picture of the cliff slowly zooming in. It was...
And survive he did. Kazuya would spend the next 21 years training to become a deadly fighter. The hatred he harbored for his father fueling his motivations. Ultimately, Kazuya would defeat Heihachi and
and it looked exactly like this. Ultimately, wearing a wife beater and a pair of Jinkos, Kazuya murdered his father.
become the first King of Iron Fist tournament champion. And then, in a moment of poetic justice, would throw his father off a cliff. Years later, we find Kazuya has turned even more sinister than his father was. But it brings us to the one woman who saw the potential good in Kazuya. Animal rights activist Jun Kazama. Together, they would have a child. The third piece of this patricidal puzzle, Jin Kazama. Jin grew up without knowing his father. And after tragedy suddenly befell his mother, Jin sought out his grandfather and would be trained in the Mishima fighting ways by none other than Heihachi Mishima.
I'm going to call it right now that Jun in the story isn't actually alive. that she's like a spirit or some shit like that, right? You know, how in the same way that we had Jin in Tekken 7, but where was Jin in Tekken 7? Well, he was technically like transformed into Devil Jin or something like that, and he was absent the whole time until the very last scene. So I'm assuming that she's actually still dead, but she's like a force ghost or something like that.
Ever the opportunist, and knowing Jin possessed the devil gene, Heihachi would use Jin until ultimately betraying his grandson, shooting him at point-blank range in the face. However, death was not for Jin, and what would kill any other man would trigger what had laid dormant in Jin until that moment, and Devil Jin was born. Since then, these three men have waged war against each other time and time again.
I'm standing in a fucking volcano.
This is until the most recent tournament, where Kazuya faced off against his father.
Are we really gonna gloss over that Jin murdered millions of people, including Claudio's wife? Or we're just... They really are gonna gaslight us into thinking that that didn't exist, right? They really are. They're gonna be like, okay, so we are very regrettable for the events of Tekken 6. They should just make Tekken 6 non-canon. Like, it just gets to the point where we're going over every game and they just scratch out 6 and they're like, hey, 7 happened.
Heihachi, for the final time, by taking his life and throwing the body into a volcano, like only a Mishima can.
Now he's really dead.
Which brings us to now.
We had a presumption that there's gonna be Heihachi's gonna come back. He's going to be a pile of bones. He's gonna be a spirit with bones that'll be fighting you.
Kazuya's complete global control is almost at hand, and his power is seemingly unchecked. However, now fully healed from his own battles, Jin has resurfaced and is focused on stopping his father to become not just the newest champion of the King of Iron Fist tournament, but possibly the savior of all mankind too.
And here's the Lord of the Rings battles.
In Tekken 8,
Fist meets fate.
Fate.
It's almost like I can smell the marketing from a mile away. All right, Beanie. All right. That's good. I mean, it's just exactly what I expect. We're getting hyped up. Here's the thing. The story mode for this game is going to be so much dumb fun. I've already played a good chunk of it, right? At a preview event. It's already stupid, wacky, dumb fun. It's essentially a fighting game version of Fast and the Furious, man. And that's not bad. It's not really a bad thing because I actually like the characters and shit like that. So, you know, I think the only problem with Tekken 8's story is that it's trying to tell Jin's story because we haven't really gotten like Jin's story in forever, dude. It's been since like Tekken 4, I guess, where the story has been focused around, I think, like Jin. Tekken 6 was obviously around Jin, but he was the antagonist, right? So he was the bad guy. And then in 7 he was like missing. I'd have to go back and see what Tekken 5's story is for Jin because I don't even remember, dude. I don't remember what the heck. It's so muddy, dude. It's so friggin' muddy because the game spent so much time in between every single game and figuring out like what the heck is going on with each and every game. It's the most sequential fighting game story of all time, or the most sequential video game story of all time, but it doesn't mean it's good. It's definitely the wackiest shit ever, but I appreciate the fact that we're not trying to tell a grounded, rooted reality story mode. I've been on an investigative journalistic journey through my life, and I'm going to tell you about the Mishima fathers and sons. Man, this sucks. This shit sucks. So now it's just like, no, we're not doing that. No, we're just going to ham it up. Jin Kazama is going to laser scraper his ass into space or some shit. He's going to turn into a demon. They're going to plow through Jupiter. They're going to blow up most of the planets on the way back to Earth, right? Like shit like that will and possibly can happen, and I'm cool with it. I think it's going to be a nice, fun, grounded story about fathers and sons.